Good evening. Our November 13, 2023 meeting is now called to order. We will have invocation by yours truly, and then Councilman Nielsen is going to lead us in the pledge. Will we stand for invocation and pledge? Let us pray. Our gracious God, we should begin every prayer with thanksgiving. Before we ask for anything, it's proper to thank you for the many blessings we've already received. Thanks for a reasonable portion of our health and strength. Thanks for this life that we all get to continue to live. Thanks for the many blessings you've allowed upon our wonderful city. Even as we strive for greater, we know things could be much worse than the way they are. Recently, we commemorated another Veterans Day. I ask that you would continue to keep, bless, and support all those who served and serve in our United States military. Although there are people from different backgrounds, different religions, political ideologies, the men and women who serve this country do so with one resolute goal: to protect the citizens who live here. This would not be possible without you doing that which only you can do. We ask these blessings in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Councilman Nielsen.
Please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, Councilman Nielsen, for leading us in the pledge. All right, next item on the agenda, we have reading and approval of the minutes from our most recent meeting, which seemed like a while ago because we have 3 weeks in between our last meeting and now. But reading and approval of our minutes from our most previous meeting.
Mayor, I make a motion that the minutes of October 23rd be dispensed with and they be approved.
Second.
Motion has been made to dispense with the reading of the minutes and to approve them. Motion made and seconded. Any comment here? Okay, seeing none. Mr. Stacy, roll call vote.
Eli,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
Petey.
Yes.
All right, that motion carries. Okay, all right, so I'll be brief, and I'll be as brief as I can. Just want to give a little update about some of the grants we've won over the years and just let you know the progress. I think there's a presentation, Steve, you're going to load up for us real quickly. As Steve is getting that, I'll go ahead and try to get started. The first one is a Delta Regional Authority grant that we were noticed about, I think it was the winter of 2022 that we learned about that particular grant win. It actually started out as a $480,000 grant. We were able, because of inflation, we asked for more money, and they allowed us, DRA did, I think 560, another 80,000. Is that right, Matt?
Correct.
All right, and you see what we're saying here, the lift station is kind of covered, hidden behind a fence, but that's a part of our sewer system. And as growth has happened along Kaiser Avenue, this project is much needed. Supply chain issues has delayed it somewhat, but as Matt and I were talking earlier, the contractor stated that there are plans to start on this project on this coming Thursday,
Yes.
to start construction.
Yeah, they'll probably start, they'll have to put that station on bypass, bring
Okay.
in some bypass pumps so they can work on it. They'll probably start doing that this week.
Right, right. So there's some, again, some work happening with that. $560,000 grant is what that is. You can move on to the next one, Steve. I'm just kind of going in order as best I can in terms of when we received these grants. These are some images of the MLK Recreational Center. You see some of the tile removed. You can stay, you can go back there for a little bit, Steve. I think you see some of the tile exposed, and there are some other images I have where you see some kind of pink product, Kevin, that are kind of on the floors and things of that nature. The ACA representative, they are the ones that won the bid to do this work. Remember, that was Black Mo that was founded. It started as just an HVAC through a COVID, kind of like a COVID program, and I think we were one of the relatively few cities in Louisiana to apply for it. And that was to our favor because we were able to include not just the recreational center, but also the Natchitoches Event Center with that. So about 70% of the ductwork has been replaced. They'll have the crane on site this Wednesday, and they're going to set the 3 outside units, so that's going to happen this week. The dance studio, large meeting room, and lobby are all what we call roughed in. So what does that mean for people who don't know? Kevin, do you know?
Well, they're at the point where they're just about to connect them and put them online once they get all the electrical stuff in place and things like that. But they're in there now doing all the duct work, and it's a lot of ants going on over there, a lot of demolition, and it looks like a war zone went off, but they're making progress.
Yep.
Lots of progress.
So there's actual work taking place and everything like that. So I know when it's all said and done, it's going to be in the ceiling and, you know, all that stuff. But again, there's work going on right now. And this, Ed, help me, what, is it a $1.6 million grant? I put you on the spot a little bit.
Yes, it started at 400,000, and because of, like you mentioned, not a lot of people applying for the grant, it allowed us to get a little more money. And then we had, with the black mold and other things and the cost of the equipment, they ended up going up to $1.6 million for the city. So they quadrupled what they originally awarded the city.
And again, this is going to help us with, you can move to the next one. It's still the HVAC grant, but it's the event center. No construction has started there. I've been kind of thinking next spring maybe some things could start, but not sure in terms of the event center exactly. Anybody? Ed, is there any
It'll probably be
indication
this
anywhere?
spring. The equipment's on order. And
Okay.
this is a lot simpler project than what's going on at the MLK Rec Center. This is just replacing the units itself. So it'll be a very quick project as compared to what we're doing right now.
Good. So again, we're in progress with this HVAC grant. See if you can move to the next one. Love Louisiana Outdoors is one that we've been anticipating to get some work started on it. And really, I think that the state office has been, you know, just, they're dealing with a lot of programs now. But this is for the Richardson Park project. That's Councilman PT, that's Lake Street, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's primarily on Lake Street behind Steins. You may think of this particular project. But we actually got permission a couple weeks ago, Council, a few weeks ago, to go out for bids. You may remember that. So those responses are due on November 30th. So in just a couple weeks, we'll get those bids in. An addendum is being prepared to be released tomorrow. And so what happens with the addendum, the bidders are asking some questions, and so we're providing answers to their questions on that one. So we're finally looking forward to that one starting. And, you know, once we get the bids in, we're thinking probably February, maybe some dirt can start to move on this particular project, all right? Let's take a look at the next grant opportunity or grant win. All right, this is the big one, all right? $17.2 million that we received through the RAISE grant program. It's a DOT, Department of Transportation program. It actually has been around, but with change of administrations, that names change. It was once called Tiger. I know Nick is familiar with that. It was also called the Build Grant before, and under the Biden-Harris administration, it's called the RAISE grant. So we got this announcement, and time has flown by. Got this announcement in August of 2022, all right? And so what's happened since then, the agreement, and Nick, if I say anything that's not correct, I know you can support me or you can clarify anything, but the agreement is basically with the Federal Highway Administration, all but signed. DOTD, what they're doing is, we could have it signed, but what they're doing is waiting on DOTD to procure an engineer for the project. And when the engineer is selected, we will sign the agreement, and the engineer and their team will begin the process of designing. So that could take up to a year to complete the design phase. And if everything goes well, construction can start with the RAISE grant in 2025. So we're hoping that everything moves smoothly. I saw an email from Nick today asking for the latest update, so hopefully we'll get a response tomorrow, but certainly before the week is out on where they are in terms of procuring an engineer. But this was the grant, like I said, 17.2 mil. This was the grant that's going to allow us to implement much of the bike and pedestrian plan of 2020, and it's going to allow for some drainage improvements, some street improvements on the Texas Street Business Corridor, some sidewalks, some lighting, and some much-needed improvements like that. So it certainly focuses on Texas Street, but it also gets the bike and pedestrian plan through other parts of our city. So really, this has a widespread impact. So really great. And I should note that we were able to get this 17.2 without a match. So that's a really, really big deal. That means that, it's just money coming to us. We don't have to come up with, a 20% match is typically the standard, but we don't have to come up with that here. So again, we're really grateful for that. And I'll just note before moving to the next one, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time here because we got Ellen and team with us tonight. They're going to update us on where we are with the Safe Streets for All grant. But I do want to say, Nick and I recently, we went to the Corps of Engineers, and we that's in Vicksburg. So we have to go through Ruston. And we just stopped for a little bit and took a look at their project. So Ruston got the project, or they got their award again, it was the Bill grant then, so it was 2018. And so they're now into construction. So we're talking 5 years ago, they got the award announcement. But 5 years later, they're still in the construction process. So I say that just to say that it takes time from the award to the actual see dirt moving, concrete poured. You've got to get your agreements through the federal government, but the design phase is a portion of it as well. So again, but that is going as well as we can get it to go. Obviously, we do want it to go a little faster than what it is going, but we're grateful that we're one of the few cities throughout the state of Louisiana who were awarded the grant. You can go back real briefly. Steve, the Safe Streets for All grant, like I said, Ellen is going to come and just update us on that, but that was a $280,000. It was a planning grant, so it's not a construction grant. But before you do any construction, and this probably goes without saying, you need to have planning, and you got to have engineering documents. So you can't just, most cases, just go build something. It has to be thought out. It has to be planned. And, I've come to really value, Mr. Rick Nolan, I've come to value engineers now more than ever because you basically need them for everything. And I've learned that. And Nick has been a jewel for us here in the city. But that's a planning grant. Ellen's going to come and update us on where we are with that. We have a pretty ambitious goal to get the plan, at least a draft through the end of December. It's going to put us in a great position whereby we can go for construction dollars. There's a couple more slides, Steve, actually, with that deal. The National Endowment of the Arts grant are known as NEA grant. It's a $50,000 grant to redesign Ben Johnson Baseball Park. It's a lightly used baseball park. I know you've seen it on MLK Drive. It's across the street from the Recreation Center. And we want to get some use into this. I'll read a little portion of what we have here. And like I said, it's a $50,000 grant. We're looking to redesign the baseball field located at 625 Martin Luther King Drive. These grants are referred to as creative placemaking grants, support projects that integrate art, culture, design activities into local efforts to strengthen and authentically engage communities. So we're really going to engage the community on this, and we actually had our kickoff meeting just a couple weeks ago, selected an architecture firm that has done some work in the city before, land architect based in Lafayette. And we also have Cane River National Heritage Area that's going to be playing a vital part. Rebecca Blankenbaker, I'm sure that name rings a bell with most of us. So we're looking forward to a meeting this week to discuss some critical parts of the project. So that's gotten kicked off. Again, it's another planning grant, so you don't see any dirt moving. But before you see dirt moving, you got to have the plan done. So this is still a critical part of what we hope to get accomplished on MLK Drive. So, and the stakeholders will include West Natchitoches leaders, parents, students, churches, and local organizations. One I don't have a slide for, Steve, and I'm almost done here. We're going to, Ellen is the next on the agenda to talk about Safe Streets for All in more depth. But the Affordable Connectivity Grant is a really significant grant. We were, in terms of safe streets, we were one of 11, I think, in Louisiana. In terms of affordable connectivity program, we were one of 5 in Louisiana. With the RAISE grant, we were one of 5 that year. So this is not money that they're just giving away. These are highly competitive grant processes, and we've been successful on some of these grants. But what ACP is, the FCC, Federal Communications Commission, launched this grant to assist with closing the digital divide for eligible residents. The grant we were awarded was $100,000, and it's going to fund an outreach program is what it is, to let people know about an existing program of our 6,000 plus eligible residents. Basically what it does, it allows them a credit through their internet or mobile providers, $30 per month on their internet bill, and $100 up to $100 per month for a device. So this project is moving forward. The team has been assembled, providers have been contacted regarding enrollment guidelines for their customers, and there are some other things that have been worked through. So we intend to host the first enrollment event on December 9th from 9 to 2 at the MLK Recreation Center. Hopefully it's presentable to have it. So we'll get that publicized that December 9th day for folks who are eligible. And this project is being led by Nicole Gray, our grants manager, and we're scheduled to complete it by April of 2025. And then the last one I have is another major one. It's our second largest award, and it is the $5 million for our aging water infrastructure to improve that. I mean, we have talked much about the plant being, our different plants, the age of them. You got a 1959 plant, 1971 plant, the last one in 95. So again, aging infrastructure, we've had that. And just to give you a very quick update, this is from the engineer, Baylor, and their partners. They expect to receive LDH approval of the wastewater treatment plant in the coming weeks. With this approval, water sector will authorize the city to bid the project. With the authorization most likely coming in December, the city will be expected to immediately advertise for the project for bids and receive bids in January or February in 2024. Phase 1 will use about $2.7 million of the $5 million in the overall grant funds, and then the remaining $2.3 of the $5 million that we were awarded will be used in Phase 2 renovation project. So as we stated about this, what this allows us to do, we've got a $16+ million project. We're really getting it for $11+ million because of the $5 million grant win. And we could attest that there were several cities that applied and were not able to get it. And we've applied for some opportunities and weren't able to get some other opportunities as well. So we certainly know how that feels as well. So we don't always get the letters, congratulations, you won this grant. But just want to let you know that we are certainly swinging. And very briefly, there are some opportunities that are still out there that we applied for, and we're just waiting to hear back. There's a public safety grant Chief Collins knows well about. It's called the BGA Fiscal Year 23 Rural and Small Department Violent Crime Reduction Program. Basically designed to help us to put together a task force to deal directly with violent crime. And he sent me some other things We requested $300,000. We're still waiting on an answer, but we have gotten some funds and some other opportunities, $14,000 from a community violence intervention grant, $27,000 from Louisiana Highway Safety Commission, occupant protection enforcement and impaired driving enforcement grant. And then from JAG, we got about 13.5. So we are waiting here from the big one, but we did get some smaller ones, and that's really good. We had a DRE waterline project. We were told no, but there may be another opportunity through a different DRE program. And the reason they told us that is because we have the lift station grant. It's not complete. They're just about to start. And so typically they don't, if you have, in a particular program, if you have a grant already open, they typically don't allow you to get awarded from that same program. So that was CDAP. We've got another one called SIF, Community Improvement Fund, and so we're hoping that maybe they'll move it to SIF and they'll fund this to continue some West Natchitoches water lines. We, the engineers took a severity, what is that, a severity letter, Matt, for our sewer?
Yes.
Project, is that what you call it? Severity what?
Yes, severity report, I guess.
Severity report. So that was delivered on today to the Office of Community Development. And if everything goes well there, that would be up to a $1.8 to $2 million win for the city to do much needed improvements to our sewer on that. We submitted a letter of intent. Now, this is a really cool one as well. It's a new Office of Community Development program, and we had a meeting on this. We had a few people show up, but I think it was, even though it wasn't a lot of people, Ms. Shirley, I see you in the back. She was there, Nicole was there, Nick was there. But I think it was a really good conversation. And this is a letter of intent. It's a new program. They call it a Make a Difference. And through that conversation, it was clear we needed to focus on our youth, but also through our master plan, we want to focus on one of those items. So with our youth, to develop a teen center. Because we own the building, it shouldn't be very expensive to do it. We're thinking somewhere around $100,000 to $250,000, but it will appeal to our teens, to that particular demographic, which is certainly can be a challenge to get their attention. But this would be an area in the MLK Recreation Center that's stocked with iPads, a green screen. I'm told that they like those. MacBooks, they like to do some type of art type things on there. The virtual reality goggles that are really a big hit with teen, and other things, Xbox systems, PlayStation systems, things of that nature that we will have there. So, and last but not least, I have gone much longer than I wanted to. Ellen, the mic is about to be yours, but we did submit a strategy grant to the EDA administration. The Economic Development Administration, known as EDA, and it is a strategy grant for Recompete. And Recompete, I think, is a really, really good program. I've got a little information about it, but it's out of the CHIPS, the Federal CHIPS Act, and it's called the Distress Area Recompete Pilot Program. Said it will invest $200 million in persistently distressed communities to create and connect people to good jobs. So if things work out, now we're starting at the very lowest level, which we think we need to where we need to be, but this could end up leading to jobs in Natchitoches if everything goes well. We hope it goes well. We're one of those eligible areas. So again, this will create, this program will create renewed economic opportunity in communities that have for far too long been forgotten. And so that's kind of what came from the EDA, their little blurb about the Recompete program. All right, that was a mouthful, and that's good because that means we've got a lot going on. We've got a lot of wins, and certainly it wouldn't be possible without the support of critical people, the council being one said, folks like Nick Ferret, our engineer, folks like our community grants writer, and so many other people. Our department heads are tied into these grants as they relate to their department as well. So again, we're really appreciative, $30 million in grants and capital outlay is something that certainly don't want to cough at it, all right? I want to bring now Ellen, I want to bring you to the microphone. I think we've seen Ellen before. She's going to tell us about her firm, but she's a senior transportation planner. She's been really great to work with. I have nothing but high reviews about Ellen, the Volker group, the Volker team, just been a pleasure to work with, and I think that this draft that we're going to receive in just a couple, well, I guess just at the end of December, is going to be something really good. So Ellen, welcome back to Natchitoches. We know you're going to be with us tonight, but also tomorrow at the First Baptist Amulet Church. And then we got some other things going on in the daytime. But Ellen Soul, everybody.
Great. Thank you so much for the introduction, Mayor Williams. Thanks, Council, for inviting me back to give you an overview and update of where we're at with the Safe Streets Action Plan that we're working on. When I was here about 6 weeks ago, for those of you who are present, we gave kind of an overview of the grant program, and so I just kind of wanted to touch on that a little bit, just to add on to what Mayor Williams was mentioning. This is a planning grant for the Safe Streets for All program. And the way this particular grant program works is that if you want to apply for an implementation grant, which is the funding for actual projects on the ground, you have to first do a planning grant. So we've been working on this for, again, I was here about 6 weeks ago. We've been working on this for about 8 weeks now, and we are going to be finishing up. The plan is to present a draft at the December 11th council meeting, I believe, which will give people an opportunity to look it over, have a chance to react to it, and then have it adopted by the end of the year is the intention. So let's see. Okay, so I'm here to give you an overview, an update on where we're at in the status of the project. I'll tell you a little bit about what we're here to do with our steering committee and our public engagement that we're going to be doing over the next couple of days, and that's that we're really framing up the structure of this plan. And I'll give you kind of a little bit of a heads up about some of the activities we're going to do at these meetings as we encourage y'all to come out. This is a Vision Zero plan. Vision Zero is a strategy to eliminate traffic fatalities and severe injury crashes while increasing safe, healthy mobility mobility for everyone who needs to use it. So this is the proposed planning structure. So plans like this, they often start with a really one large overarching vision. This is the Vision Zero. We're going to eliminate traffic fatalities and severe injury crashes. And then the structure, and I'll go through these in just a second, there are principles behind this. There'll be individualized goals for Natchitoches that will help develop. And then to achieve those goals, there will be some actions, actual things that individuals or agencies, departments will do. And then we will develop measures. How will we know if it's being effective? How will we know how we're doing at getting to that vision of eliminating severe injury and fatal crashes? So Mayor Williams talked a little bit about the USDOT, because some of your other grants are through the USDOT. That's the U.S. Department of Transportation. This is also a U.S. Department of Transportation grant. And on this slide, you see their Safe Systems Approach principle. This is really a big paradigm shift for the U.S. Department of Transportation. And these are the principles that are behind the Safe Streets for All programs. And it's a different approach than they've had before. So now we're saying, and these are the principles behind it, deaths and serious injuries are unacceptable. Previously, some small amount of deaths and serious injuries were expected on the road. And through this program, the initiative is to eliminate all. Deaths and serious injuries are not acceptable. This program acknowledges that people make mistakes and that people are vulnerable. I'm going to skip down to the last one, and that's why redundancy is critical. Redundancy is critical because people will make mistakes when they're driving. And people, especially people who are walking or biking, are vulnerable because they don't have a car around them. Responsibility is shared, and what that means is that responsibility is shared. It's not just the driver, it's the people walking, it's car manufacturers, which USDOT also has a hand in. It is also messaging, agencies, the designers of the roads. We all share a responsibility to make them safer. Safety is proactive. So we can't be reactive, we have to be proactive, and that comes for us in designing streets that we know are safer so that those crashes won't occur again in the future. So like I mentioned before, we started with vision up at the top. That's the Vision Zero. Principles, goals. These will be goals that we'll be developing with our steering committee while we're here over the next few days. An example of one might be to reduce speeds. And then actions would be what needs to happen in order to achieve that goal. And then we actually have to come up with measurable ways to figure out, have we achieved that thing yet? Oops, I went backwards. Measurable indicators. So it might be, the examples that we're showing here. If we say an action that we need to take is start a media campaign, and we have to reach every child or an educational program. And we have to reach every child in a school in the 4th grade level. Well, how many schools did you meet with? How did that progress go? Those are the measurable actions to achieve a certain action, which should in turn help us reach that Vision Zero. Give a little bit of an update on the actual components of the plan. These are required of the grant program, the planning grant, if you want to go ahead and go after those implementation dollars. We've already completed the equity analysis, the safety analysis. We're kind of in midstream on several items, public participation, the structure that I was just describing. The policy toolbox, which I also just sort of alluded to, these items that are not infrastructure projects, but also are part of behavior change and part of how we're going to reach Vision Zero. We still have some items to frame up in our next 3-ish weeks before that December 11th council meeting, and that's performance measuring. So what's going to happen after we go away and as the plan is implemented. And then, of course, that draft plan and adopting the final plan. As I mentioned before, an equity analysis is a part of this planning process. Equity analysis is required. I spoke more about this last time, but because the communities of color and people with low incomes and people with disabilities are transportation disadvantaged, we have to make sure that we're including them in the planning process. We have to make sure that the projects that we are recommending are actually going to reach the people who are most impacted. So we start the process with an equity analysis to make sure we are understanding the community that we're working in and where projects are going to go. Policy strategies. So I kind of started teeing this up a little bit earlier. We're looking at what strategies are going to work here in Natchitoches, what partnerships might be available with other agencies like the MPO, the Rapides Area MPO, to help some of these kinds of things move along. Media awareness campaigns, educational programs. You were in Ruston. I think they have a bike share program in Ruston. These things are possible, and they do make it safer because they make people understand how to use things, and actually more, those bike share programs can be a real opportunity to continue pushing those messages out to folks. We've completed the crash analysis. We know that pedestrians and bicyclists make up a large proportion of the fatal and severe injury crashes. And it says rear end crashes represent a large portion of collisions. So what we do is we pair up these actual collision types and locations with countermeasures that are proven to be effective in these particular circumstances. And we're going to talk more about these countermeasures at the meetings coming up tomorrow night. Public participation is also a big part of this program. So we had a round of public engagement a couple of weeks ago, about 5 or 6. And we also have a website we encourage folks to go on. We had a survey that was open for quite a while. We've actually closed the survey, but we still would love to get your input on the map. So please feel free, same website. You can use the QR code on any of the meeting materials to get there. So this week, while we're here, we will be at the First Baptist Church on Amulet Street again tomorrow at 6 p.m. We hope to see some of y'all out there. We're also going to be doing some tabling, some direct outreach at the Louisiana School for Math, Science, and the Arts. And also tabling at Northwestern University. Try and get to talk to some of the students over there. We understand a lot of them live in apartments and walk to school, so we're trying to get a handle on where some of their issues are and what they'd like to see. So we've started our project identification, so we're starting to identify locations where we're seeing some problems. And we're also starting to look more closely at those locations, at the types of crashes that are happening there, and then which countermeasures do we need to put in place in order to affect change at those locations and other locations like them. So we still have a little bit of work to do, but we're rounding the curve here. Public participation is ongoing, plan, structure. We're gonna work with our steering committee to put that structure into place. We're gonna talk a little bit with our steering committee and other folks at the city who've been really instrumental in guiding our process about what those non-infrastructure programs might look like and how we can come up with some that are really gonna be effective, but also are in line with the capacity of the city to, which seems limitless. Gosh, you got a lot of grants. So we'll put some of those in place. And then we have to just close out this performance monitoring piece, what's gonna happen after we go away, and then develop the draft plan and that get adopted with that Vision Zero statement by the council. Here's my contact information. The website is on here as well, and the other members of the project team, including Nick at the city. Thank you for your time. Am I allowed to take questions or?
Well, I just want to, you got some people with you? Who's with you? Ellen?
Oh, I
Who's with
do
you?
have some people with me. I have Colin Ash, who's a deputy project manager on this, and with me from our New Orleans office, and Ariana Grant, one of our newest transportation planners. She's been with us for exactly 1 week, and she came to see you all in Natchitoches. So,
And look, there's some opportunities to ask questions of Ellen at, when you got tomorrow night at the First Baptist deal, but you also have, I know you're doing some things at the university too. And I will say, Nick and Ellen, we did get those door hangers to the quad, so hopefully they would take heed and hopefully we'll see some students engaged. But again, really appreciate the work you all have done so far. I know we haven't gotten plan developed so far, but these other ones have been, you've been doing great along the way, okay? All right, thanks a lot, Ellen. All right, and I don't see her here. She told me it was a possibility she couldn't be here, but what we started, this is our second month as we are thinking about our employees of the month. Just wanted to bring them to the council meeting. I think there is at least an image of Jenna Severance. She works under Clarissa Brown at the finance department, and just has been a rock star since she started. From right to left, that's me, then Jenna, the employee, and of course Clarissa, and then Jennifer Brumley, HR for us. So Clarissa, Jenna's not here, but is there any words you'd like to share about her?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Jenna Severance is my accountant, and she is a fantastic employee. Jenna came in when we were doing a lot of transitioning in our department, and she just hit the ground running, has been so valuable. and we are just so blessed to have her. So I know she couldn't be here tonight, but she was very excited to be named Employee of the Month, and she is truly deserving.
Yeah, yeah. Lot of great work by Jenna. So, in finance, she certainly affects the city, overall, the department overall, and the work we do in the city. So, really appreciate Jenna. All right, our next item on the agenda, we have Miss Victoria Wiggins, who is a senior at Natchitoches Central. She is also Miss Merry Christmas. But she's coming to talk about a grant opportunity that she's been successful on. So, Victoria, we're happy to have you here tonight, and we'll just get you to state your first and last name. And Steve, I think there's a link as well that she has in that email. Yeah, in that information email, she's got a link. Is it a present? It's a presentation?
Yes, sir.
It's a Canva that she created. Okay. Is there a way to, yeah, I think there's a way to full screen it. All righty. All right, just state your first and last name, Victoria, and get started in your presentation.
So, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Victoria Wiggins, and this is my mom. Oh, she's sitting down. Lisa Wiggins. So, I wanted to share an amazing resource taking root right here in our community with unlimited possibilities to educate and improve the health of Natchitoches Parish citizens forever. So, the Lots of Compassion grant, it's a nationwide grant, and it's created by the Kids Gardening, who partnered with Mr. Myers Clean Day. Change the slide, please. So the program was designed to support local leaders looking to transform vacant lots into gardens to help grow compassion in their community. So me and my mom were one of the top 10 in the nation who received the $20,000 grant. Next slide, please. The inspiration planted for Natchitoches Educational Garden in a community garden in Bay St. Louis called Root the Roots, as you see right here. And then it bloomed while preparing for a 4-H horticulture contest called Trash Food Deserts with Green Gardening. Did you know that Natchitoches has food deserts around us? This led to a series of educational demonstrations through state and nation on trash gardening. This presentation allowed me to travel all over the United States talking about how to help people who live in food deserts by recycled gardens with trash and kitchen scraps. Next slide, please. Wow. So my desire was to create a community garden in Natchitoches as a senior service project. That's whenever we have discovered this $20,000 grant. We can't believe how far we have come with this unlimited support of the Natchitoches Parish School Board, the mayor, the city of Natchitoches, 4-H, and everyone we have talked to. Next slide, please. So in this garden, we'll have a learning pavilion, a seed pantry, vegetable and recyclable gardens, a Christmas tree donated to us, a sensory garden, and many more exciting things. So the Natchitoches Parish 4-H is the grant coordinator. Ms. Pam has given us support and we have lined out activities to get this started. We promoted and engaged throughout the year, and we have developed a plan projecting for our future. Next slide, please. This is what our garden looks like. So the Natchitoches Parish School Board gave us permission to use the lot right behind East Natchitoches. In the city of Natchitoches Soil, Water, and Labor, our lot is surrounded by 3 schools, St. Mary's, East, and Weaver. And it's a walking distance for over 1,000 students for a daily basis. We are going to use this garden as an educational lot to enrich the curriculum. They will have an outside classroom to help them and in providing lifeline tools to help healthier living. I'm so excited to get this garden started. We want to tap into the service organizations and groups to maximize youth and ongoing success. Change the slide, please. So believe in this tool and to help our community, and its success will depend on the support and participation from people like yourself. Now, you may have ideas on how you can help and be a part of our garden, or may wonder what you can do. Don't worry, I can help out with that. So my goal is to make the citizens of Natchitoches feel as welcome as possible with this garden, and to be a part and share expertise or learn more about the wonders of gardening. We have a date set out for the ribbon cutting that is November 21st at 10 a.m. And we would love to extend an invitation for you to join us and check it out for yourself. Now, we have come to a long way in such a short time, but could definitely use helping hand during our service day, set for November 19th at 2 p.m. Next slide, please. Here we'll have filled the raised beds, plant a tree, plant veggie gardens, and lay mulch. This is where you'll come in and help play a part by spreading the word and help get this community involved and keep it going. There will be a day of service each month, grand opening. My favorite part is paint the plank. It'll be a art contest with the youth in our area. And it will be service days where community members or groups can sign up and have educational demonstrations. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Wow.
Thank you so much, Victoria, for being here tonight, and that is amazing. As a senior, I think about myself as a senior. All I thought about was playing Madden and eating fruit snacks, and she's really put a lot of effort behind a worthwhile, very noble effort. I mean, thinking about food deserts as a senior in high school, that is pretty amazing. So we want to definitely support you. I think that date was November 21st. They're doing the ribbon cutting. 15 School Drive, that's where she mentioned, behind those schools of East Natchitoches, near St. Mary's, and also Weaver. What was the time of the ribbon cutting?
We have the ribbon cutting
10 a.m.
at 10 a.m., but we have the service day this Sunday at 2 p.m.
Okay, gotcha. All right, good. Awesome. Really appreciate that, and we're happy to support, and good to see the collaboration. Look, we want all the money to come into Natchitoches, whoever, to do, to just make our community better, and that's one initiative. Victoria, certainly see Mrs. Wiggins back there, and, really appreciate your effort, and we want to support it 100%. All right? Moving on to the next item, we have a proclamation. It's read by Councilman P.T.
Thank you, man. Louisiana celebrates our local small businesses and contributions they make to our local economy and community. Whereas according to the U.S. Small Business Administration, there are 33 million small businesses in the United States, and small businesses represent 99.7% of firms with paid employees. Small businesses are responsible for 62.7% of net new jobs created since 1995. And small business employ 46.4% of the employees in the private sector in the United States. And whereas 68 cents of every dollar spent at a small business in the United States stays in the local community, and every dollar spent at a small business creates an additional 48 cents in local business activity as a result of employees and local businesses purchasing local goods and services. Whereas Natchitoches, Louisiana supports our local businesses that create jobs, boost our local economy, and preserve our communities. Whereas groups, as well as public and private organizations across the country have endorsed the Saturday after Thanksgiving as Small Business Saturday. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Ronnie Williams, Jr., Mayor of Natchitoches, Louisiana, do hereby proclaim November 25th, 2023 as Small Business Saturday. I also move to adopt resolution number 104.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. This is one of those proclamations we look forward to adopting every year. Small businesses are important to our overall economy and certainly important to our local economy in the city of Natchitoches. I was just astounded at some of these facts that are noted in the proclamation. 46.4% of the employees in the private sector work in a small business. That's nearly half of the private sector workforce. They work in a small business. Pretty astounding. Another fact that Councilman P.T. read, 68 cents on every dollar spent at a small business basically creates an additional 48 cents in the local business activity. So amazing stats. So let us support our small businesses here in the city of Natchitoches. We know the merchants on Front Street, but we've got others on Texas Street and South Drive and, all throughout our community. Let us be supportive of these small businesses, and that's going to be on the 25th. So not this coming Saturday, but the next. It's the Saturday after Thanksgiving. And the Chamber does a really good job of promoting this idea, so we're going to share some of their posts that they have, and certainly would invite you to follow and like their page and see what they have going on in terms of Small Business Small Business Saturday, excuse me. All right, council comment? Okay. Mrs. Stacy, roll call vote.
Eli,
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Harrington,
Yes.
Petey,
Yes.
All right, that motion carries. We've got a couple ordinances that are up for final. The first one is read by Councilman Nielsen.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance number 66 of 2023. I'm going to read in title only as it's already been introduced. An ordinance to designate funds from the American Rescue Plan for use by the city of Natchitoches to provide funding to Friends All United for Natchitoches Animals, Fauna, for Spay Natchitoches, authorizing the execution of any and all documents, contract, and/or agreements, in other words, otherwise providing with respect thereto. And the amount of that contribution is $5,000. Hopefully, when it comes up in budget, I think Spay is the way of the future for us, and hopefully next year we can participate at a higher level. But right now, the $5,000 will help them bridge the gap. So I move that we adopt ordinance number 66 of 2023.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. I know we've got Mr. Shirley Walker, who's here. You don't necessarily have to have a comment unless you want to. And they have different operations to come in. It is a well-oiled machine in terms of how the process works with the spay and neuter. It's an effort, and I do echo what Councilman Nielsen said about $5,000 is not a terribly a lot of money, but as we look at our next budget, maybe there could be some other considerations, okay? All right. Any comment about this? All right, seeing none, Mrs. Stacy, roll call vote.
Eli,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Harrington,
Yes.
Petey,
Yes.
All right, that motion carries. Another ARPA allocation, this next one, and it's read by Councilman Harrington.
And this also has been introduced previously, so I'll read by title only. This is ordinance 67 of 2023, an ordinance to designate funds from the American Rescue Plan for use by the city of Natchitoches to provide funding for the fencing project at the Public Works Building, commonly referred to as the John Deere Building, authorizing the execution of any and all documents necessary to properly effectuate such purchases and otherwise providing with respect thereto. I move to adopt ordinance 67 of 2023.
Second.
All right, motion has been made and seconded. This is very straightforward, like Councilman Harrington said, using funds from our ARPA dollars to build a fence around the new Public Works location. $90,000 seems like a lot for a fence, but when you consider the acreage, do we know, Ed and Donald? And again, I know I'm putting you on the spot.
I think it's about 2,300 feet, linear feet for the fence.
Okay.
It's a 6-foot fence with 3 rows of barbed wire on the top, and that includes 2 rolling gates.
2 rolling gates, you said? Okay. Any comment here? Thanks, Ed, for that description. We do have a comment. Can you get us comment or question? Cue up the clock for us, Steve.
Car size. Good afternoon. My issue is we are spending a lot of money on the Texas Street John Deere place. When Southern Cotton Oil Gin left here, they gave the city a home, and that was down there on Mill Street, without any provocation, and everything was free. We have moved from one place to another, and the thing of it is, we are taking money from the rescue plan and everything else, and when this money should have been used in street drainage in the communities and everything else. You're talking about building barbed wire fences and closing everything in. Down on Mill Street right now, the city have equipment and the gates stay open simply because you have people coming in there going back to the brewery or back to the place to eat. $90,000 is a lot of money when we can take $90,000 and hire full-time employees for the city of Natchitoches and start cleaning up the streets and everything else. But we have a tendency to make the place down there on Mill Street or District F, making money for the city. You turn around, now you want to put up a fence. Why not just fix the fence, paint the fence, and what need to be taken care of, put a couple of rolling gates up. Just stop giving the taxpayers money away in this town here, simply because of the fact that we have a lot of people that work for the city right now who have no insurance and everything else, but we are not looking for the accountability of the people of Natchitoches. We are looking out to make Natchitoches a greater place, and we are suffering in the communities and everything else. You got 6 to 12 employees. You all have spent over $207,000 on a building that you don't even have enough employees to put in. I can understand that y'all moving and everything else, but sometime, why don't y'all just take a look back throughout the community and do something with the National Rescue money? Y'all had $77,000 that y'all gonna put up there right here on Front Street, say that y'all had some money that y'all had to get rid of to fix a drainage. I passed through there, don't let nothing, one yard over there across from the bank is falling in. So what is going on with all the spending and all the money that being got from the federal government and everything else? Where's all this money going? There's nothing being seen.
And I would just, a couple things I'll say. To bring those buildings into commerce like the brewery is, you do have a new business that just opened up. It's an event center space, old L.H. Johnson building. And there were a couple conceptual plans even before I became the mayor. But there's no way for us to stay in those buildings and use them for commerce. You can't have both. So this is one in which we want to get those buildings into the tax base. And there's certainly some interest in some of the buildings. Obviously, the brewery is there. It could be a more successful district if you have businesses in that area. So I think it's a win-win for us. All right? Mrs. Stacy, roll call vote. Oh.
My name is Precious Barber. Being that I mostly work with people that are from low-income, no-income homes, and one of the things the people have concerns about is with this American Rescue Plan money. They were giving money to help pay bills, but then they were told they don't have no more money for them. They didn't have no more money to pay at the time for bills. And as he stated, we got people out here who hungry, who don't know how they're gonna pay their bills. When you first got this money, I presented a plan to you. I asked, could you do this? And you said that you was gonna only put the money in programs. And so we as the people, we don't agree with it. We don't agree with $90,000 going on this fence. This money can be used in other ways to help people. We got people out here starving. And you as a mayor and a pastor, I would hope you would think about those who are in poverty. And so we as the people, we don't agree with that. I have so many people. I had a young lady came to me that didn't have lights. And she came to your office and was turned around. with 2 kids. But we gonna take $90,000 and spend on a fence? I walked in here today and I talked to a person of interest, and I said, I don't understand this. Ain't nobody doing nothing for people in poverty that's beneficial. I see stuff being done for business, just like I'm seeing that you finna use some of the money, or you finna propose to use some of the money to help pay for security for the Christmas festival. Well, how was they getting paid at first? I'm not understanding, what are we doing with this money? This money, I even gave you a plan. I said, we could do this. I even talked to you and Miss Betty about this money. These people out here are starving. Yeah, we talked on the phone. Yes, y'all both was on the phone with me. And so I'm just trying to figure out what is going on, because $90,000 for a fence is ridiculous. It's ridiculous, for real. It is, when we dealing in times where people are hungry. And so y'all gonna do what you want, but that's okay. But we gonna vote how we want. And so I just think we need to make better decisions. I ain't got a problem with your dogs getting spayed, but at the same time, people could have had food. And so I'm just saying, what are we doing? We went from 6.4 million, I believe that's million at what it was at first, to when I asked you October the night, you had 430,000. But the people said that they were told that they couldn't even get no more money for bills. So this is an issue. People want to know what is going on with this money, because the people are not really benefiting from this money other than the water that you're proposing. I guess you're giving some of it over there too. I don't know, I'm not for sure about that. But I'm just wanting to say that people are crying out about this money. So his complaint is very valid, because I'm hearing the same thing with masses of people wanting to know, where is this money going? How is it really benefiting my home? They're not feeling it. They're not feeling none of this American Rescue Plan. And some of it is supposed to be given to the people. I don't have no problem with you fixing projects, but the people are starving. They're hungry. So that's my time.
Let me say this, we did have a program using that money to pay utility bills for people. So some of that money has been used for that purpose. When we are given this money, we can't just do what we want to do with the money.
Oh, I got the rules.
It's allotted for certain projects. And I understand people have needs, but also we can't just use this money to just pay bills for people.
I didn't
That's
say
not
you
what
did,
it's
Ms.
used
Betty, but you
for.
can use it for other issues.
And we did have
whole
a
plan.
project where people bills, utilities were paid.
And they were told it was no more money.
It was budgeted. We had a budget put in place for that, and when that ran out, no, we didn't have any more money.
But that's
we can
not what
budget
you're hearing.
again, but right now, we have to put this into the budget.
That's just like the young lady who had the electricity bill. She came before the October the 9th meeting. Somebody could have helped that young lady. She had 2 kids. Her lights was off. They told her, turned to her way. I told her to talk to the mayor. She talked to somebody in the office. Well, we don't have no more money to give you. We don't have no more money. And by the way, it's going to have to be put on the agenda for them to even discuss you. That's what she was told. A young lady with 2 kids.
Yep, and Precious, you're out of your time here.
Yeah, I'm just answering, I'm replying to her. She made a statement to me, and I was just replying to her.
Well, thank you for that.
This is not good, Ms.
Thank you.
They are starving.
And if you could send me that plan that you referenced.
I'll talk with you after
Yeah.
the meeting.
Yeah.
You know what? When you didn't even know, Miss Betty, the money was
Yeah.
I called
You call me and tell me.
Yeah, just send that,
Here, you're right.
you can send that plan
I
via
will talk
email.
with you after the meeting. Maybe I can do something to help her.
Yeah.
Tell her what she.
And I'll just say, 1.8 of the American Rescue Plan, just for clarity, was put in the streets. 1.25 is going to water treatment, like the Councilwoman at large mentioned, the utility assistance program. We used some of it for cameras and technology for NPD. That was our first allocation. And in fact, one of those cameras actually led to an arrest on a murder. So I think we've done really good in terms of our allocation for that money. All right? Any other comment? No. Seeing none, Mrs. Stacy, roll call vote.
Eli,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Harrington,
Yes.
PT,
Yes.
All right, that motion carries. Next, we've got a few items that are just for introduction, and so what that means is that they will be voted on our next meeting on the 27th. All right? The first one is read by Councilwoman at large Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. This is ordinance number 068 of 2023, which is an ordinance amending ordinance number 64, 2001, by changing zoning classification of property described as follows. 34.02 acres being described as 15 areas in Section 10, Township 8, North Range 7, West, shown as Tract C on plat and map slide 396-B, and 19.02 acres in Section 10, Township North Range 7 West, as shown on plat in Surveyance Book 520, page 314, and 8.36 acres located in Section 10, Township 8 North, Range 7 West, shown as Tract B1-A, containing 7.36 acres, and Tract B1-B, Conveyance Book 703, page 700. This is located at 201 Bayou Country Drive. I don't know where that is. Whereas the Planning Commission of the City of Natchitoches, State of Louisiana, has recommended at their meeting of November 7, 2023, that the application of Joseph F. Bienvenu to rezone the property described above from RED, which is Residential Estate District, to RED Residential Estate District, with a special exception to operate as a short-term rental, be approved. And this is for introduction only.
All right. Ms. Rock, is there any additional comment to be added? I know this went through planning and zoning on the 7th. Is there any other?
No, not really. It's just a short-term rental. However, this is in a very secluded area. With the 34 acres, there's only one structure there. So there was no additional residents to come out against the property to be rezoned for short-term rentals.
Where is it? Yeah, where is it?
This is out 201 Bayou Country Road, out by 478, I guess you can say. This area previously was zoned as a red district, residential estate district. That was way before any of our times there, I think. I don't know if Dale and Eddie was here when they did that, that the estate buildings, the building classifications would be higher than the 7,200 square feet, or what we consider the minimum size housing standards. But according to the property owner, they will not be adding additional structures on this property. It will be the one.
Not adding an additional structure? Oh, just that one structure. They're keeping the one structure?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Comments or questions, Council? All right, again, this is just for introduction, so we do public comment on when it's up for final, okay? All right, the next item for introduction is read by Councilwoman Washington Eli.
Thank you, Mayor. This is for introduction 069. Ordinance established a 6-month moratorium upon the receipt of processing all application for occupational license and any other license permit for operation of short-term rental in the city of Natchitoches, setting a public hearing date and further providing with respect thereto. And I get planning and zoning director to explain in more details about the short-term rental.
Did you hear Chantrell? Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so the reason we decided to do the short-term moratorium is because we do not have an ordinance in place. Every month, we have between 3 and 4 applications for short-term rental. We've heard both sides from the real estate and from the residential side. I know that once we put an ordinance in place, we won't be able to satisfy either side 100%, but as it stands, we do need something in place to actually determine what a short-term rental is, to actually give a in-depth definition for it, the requirements for what a short-term rental will be, any certifications, any licenses. We need something in place so that things can move forward with a short-term rental. So even though we said 6 months, it could be shorter than that, but this is the time that I'm asking until we actually put something in place in writing to define a short-term rental and how it's supposed to operate.
And I think based on the comments I heard earlier, there is some agreement from folks who have clients in this industry that there needs to be some clarity.
Correct.
And I understand there's a disagreement on, I heard the argument earlier about should you do a moratorium now when you don't have anything? But I do think that there is some agreement there. Council, you got any comments or questions about this matter?
A moratorium isn't my favorite thing. The 6 month, it's kind of, to me, kicking the can down the road. I think we have at least one document that we could look at to draft our own ordinance and get that done in a timely manner. I would much rather see that and get an ordinance on the books. And let's define, most municipalities have ended up having to come up with some type of ordinance for short-term rental. And I just think we need to expedite that and get it done quickly.
Okay,
I don't-
point taken.
I don't necessarily agree that our ordinances don't currently cover the issue. I do agree it needs to be clarified even more. But when it comes to moratorium, bear with me for a second. I'm gonna break it down real quick. You can take some notes if you want. So you can Google the City of Natchitoches city ordinances, and it'll pull it up, municode.com, and it'll pull them up. Scroll down to Appendix B, Section 2, which is districts. And you look at Section B under that, residential districts, under R1. This is before the meeting. I brought up where it states the district regulations are designated to prohibit all commercial activities. So we're going to start there. Then you scroll down, excuse me, to B, Section 1, Part 3, which are special exception uses for that. So it does prohibit all commercial activity, and then it gives some special exception uses. One's a bed and breakfast. The special exception uses state that each individual specific use shall be considered on an individual case and shall be subject to approval of the city, meaning every single individual application, all the specifics, where it's located, who's against it, who's for it, every case is treated individually. So you look at, under there's a bed and breakfast. So if you go back, the same Appendix B, go to Section 1, which is definitions. A bed and breakfast here is defined as a building where, for compensation, a room and/or rooms, the entire building, are rented for temporary residential tourist lodging. This use in no way shall allow for the occupancy of a residence by permanent boarders. So currently, I feel our ordinances state, in R1, it's prohibited. There's an exception, bed and breakfast, which is rented for temporary residential tourist lodging, which to me, the Airbnbs are defined under there, and they're all treated on an individual basis. I think it covers it right there, but I also think that is frustrating because to those who want to bring one in because, well, they have no basis of is it going to be approved or not before we even start, what is exactly does it mean? Because it's subject to us, to the whim of the council every individual time, and the council can change, that whim can change. So I do think right now it is covered, but I think it could be covered better. And define some things defined more specifically, but that's my opinion.
Again, the only reason why we decided to do the moratorium was to get something done in writing to say what a short-term rental was. We've been fighting for this for weeks, for months, so this was the only way that I felt that we can get something pushed through and get on the books as if we submitted a moratorium.
So the moratorium is only to more or less give you time. It's just a time factor in order to assess what needs to be done for the
Right,
ordinance, right?
to determine
And so, like you
exactly.
said, it could be less than 6 months.
It could be, but I need something that tells me specifically what a short-term rental is. Again, a short-term rental has functions as a commercial entity, even though the ordinance may say a Airbnb is not the same as a bed and breakfast. A bed and breakfast actually has someone living in the house, whereas for Airbnb does not. The word Airbnb is a vehicle only that's used to advertise on the Airbnb website. So therefore, again, we still need something in place. That's why I'm asking for this moratorium, to say specifically what we need. How do planning and zoning address this? I have to be the one to sit with residents that are submitting applications for short-term rental. I have to listen, planning and zoning has to listen to what the residents have to say, and then what the real estate people have to say. So therefore, my commission is torn in between, and yes, we do make decisions on individual basis, but it's confusing when you have 5 applications, 4 get approved, and then 1 get denied,
Yeah, I don't
based
like that.
upon who's sitting in the ordinance,
Right.
in the audience.
Yeah. That's been
So I
happening.
need some help. That's why I'm coming forward with a moratorium. I need something in writing stating, this is what we do, how we're gonna do it, and how we're gonna move forward. Despite, yes, this is what the real estate world say, but yet and still, I have a established residential area here that says, yeah, I understand short-term rentals, but in most established neighborhoods, it's not for 2 days, a week. It's 30 days or more. So I need something.
Yeah, and our ordinances, like where it defines bed and breakfast, that could be changed. Because
can.
it doesn't say anything, a bed and breakfast here is simply rented for temporary residential tourist lodging. There's nothing about someone lives there or provides breakfast to them. So, that could be changed to short-term rental instead of calling it a bed and breakfast. Right now, they're all treated the exact same. It's under bed and breakfasts. Basically, all short-term rentals are bed and breakfast per our ordinances. That's just the term it's used in the ordinances. And that needs to be clarified. That needs to be.
Right, but if you look at our history, most B&Bs that we have here
Oh, I
in
know,
Natchitoches
yeah.
have someone living in them.
But
They
our
have not
ordinances, that's
allowed-
not what it is.
Right, but according to what our history has done,
Mm-hmm.
B&Bs have allowed for the rentals of individual homes with the homeowner being
Mm-hmm.
inside the home, and they provided breakfast. Now things have changed, we've upgraded, so you're right, we do need to update what that bed and breakfast is and how an Airbnb is supposed to be handled.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would just acknowledge again what I hear both Councilman Nielsen and Councilwoman Delores Smith saying for reduced moratorium, I think is what y'all probably would say you would support. And I do see you, I don't want to ignore you, Mr. Ferguson, but this is just being introduced, so we don't have a public comment typically on
Well, I feel.
on when it's been
Instead
introduced,
of
but.
a moratorium, I mean, why couldn't we
go ahead and do it.
why couldn't we have an ordinance before us next month instead of this before us?
Well, we could.
Yeah, I think
Why
we.
couldn't we just do that? Work
It's
on
just a
getting an
suggestion.
ordinance together. I mean,
Yeah.
do you have time for that? We got,
I mean, this is, like I said, this
December.
was my way of getting some action done.
Yeah.
So if you say we'll table this for tonight
Table
and
it.
say we need something by next council meeting, I'm fine with that.
Well, and I don't think we have to make an action, it's just being introduced. I mean, we could,
No,
but
I
it's just
think
being
you leave
introduced.
it where it is,
Yeah.
and.
But this was
with,
you finally saying, look, do something.
Do something.
Her
And
commission.
we hear you, and we
Her
wanna do
commission
something.
doesn't need to go through any more meetings and not being able to clarify what it is they're tasked to do.
Correct.
But I think even kind of what Councilman Harrington is saying, with anything, it's not gonna make everybody happy all the time.
No, it's
No.
not,
You
but
still-
we'll at least have
You're not
something
gonna
to go
please
by.
everybody.
We'll
Yeah.
have something in place.
Yep.
Because your council's guessing what we're gonna do.
Correct.
Yeah.
so do we remove this moratorium off the agenda?
No, I don't think we have to
Or
do
amend
anything
it?
on it tonight. I
It's
think we
it's
just need
a
to,
Table it?
introduction.
yeah. I don't think we necessarily take, my thing would be not to take any action and just only the action of moving quicker to get the ordinance written up, which we do have some models. People have mentioned Covington, how they're doing it, you know.
Because we don't have to table it, because it's not up for vote. We don't have to do anything. So.
Right. We just need to work to do what we need to do, I guess. Okay? All right. So we'll work on trying to get something sooner other than going the moratorium route, but I think we all agree that some action needs to be taken, all right? Councilman PT has the next introduced item. It's on you, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance number 070 of 2023, an ordinance to designate funds from the American Rescue Plan for use by the City of Natchitoches to assist the Historic District Business Association with funding for additional security for the 2023 Christmas festival season. And this is for introduction only.
Okay. This is something, y'all, we did last year. It's out of the same fund, the American Rescue Fund. And it's something I wish we wouldn't have to do, to be honest. But there's been going around, folks would break into people's cars while they're here for festivities. And that's just a bad kind of stain, if you will. As we say, we pride ourselves on being a tourist town. We certainly want to make sure that whether it's our folks who are here enjoying the festivities or it's folks who don't live here but coming into town, that when they get back to their vehicles, you know, nothing's broken, nobody tried to take anything. And that's what we attempted to do here. We saw an increase of them at a certain part of the year, but then when we enacted this with HDBA, so it's a partnership with the City of Natchitoches and HDBA, the Historic District Business Association, to curb that activity on breaking into people's vehicles while they're visiting town or from town, happen to be downtown. So that's really what this is trying to do. So any comment or questions, council, about it?
Be good. We get a lot of complaints afterwards of breaking in, so.
Yep. And like I said, Jill was here earlier on the Victoria Wiggins presentation, so if we need her to be here next week, she's willing to do it. But I do remember her saying there was a reduction in the amount of theft. Now, we do expect businesses, if you got a parking lot, certainly that's your private parking lot. We're talking about those public spaces that we own, the event center. A lot of people use City Hall and council chambers parking lot. And that's primarily what street parking, things like that. It's primarily what we are talking about. And we expect those businesses who have their private parking to monitor their own parking lot. So, but the city does have a considerable amount of parking, so. And hopefully,
successful.
Yeah. Hopefully one day we won't have to use it, you know, but just kind of where we are. And I know other communities are, as I read the news, I'm a news junkie. I know other communities are dealing with this unfortunate behavior as well. So, but again, that's just to be introduced. So if there are any questions, please reach out to me. All right. Next introduced item for introduction is read by Councilwoman Elora Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. This is ordinance number 071 of 2023, which is an ordinance approving a contract for the collection, hauling, and disposal of municipal solid waste, construction, and demolition waste in the city of Natchitoches, Louisiana, to be entered into with Waste Connections Bayou, Inc., authorizing the mayor, Ronnie Williams, Jr., to execute same and otherwise providing with respect thereto. Whereas the city of Natchitoches has previously issued a request for proposals from entities seeking to enter into a contract for the collection, hauling, and disposal of municipal solid waste, construction, and demolition waste in the city. And whereas Waste Connection Bayou was chosen by the city to receive the contract, and whereas further, the city and the company have previously negotiated the terms and conditions of the contract. And whereas the City Council of the City of Natchitoches, acting as a governing authority, is satisfied with the terms and conditions of the contract and now desires to enter into the contract with the company. And whereas further, the governing authority authority desires authorize and direct the mayor of the city, Ronnie Williams Jr., or his properly selected designee to execute the contract on behalf of this city. And be it further ordained that this ordinance shall become effective immediately upon adoption. This is for introduction.
Introduction, we do have a presentation. Ed, he's our purchasing director. That's one of the hats he wears for us. He's going to kind of kick us off. We had I think a pretty good town hall meeting last Tuesday. It was just about 7 or 8 of us, but I think there was discussion. And we just try to have those to create an opportunity for, people to interact with their government. So, and we've had a bunch of town halls, over the years. Some of them well attended, some of them not. We have one on tomorrow with the Safe Streets Fall Grant. But Ed, I think that first slide, if you would go ahead and hit it, Steve. Ed is just gonna lay out the process of everything, give us all of that information. And then we have James Vullerman here. That's his, as they say, government name, but we know him as affectionately as Bugs. So Bugs is here with Waste Connections, okay? Ed, it's on you. I think he's got 2 slides, and then Bugs will cover the next 2.
Okay, we're nearing the end of a contract with Waste Connections right now. We went out for an RFP almost 10 years ago, and in that, it was awarded to Waste Connections, and we had a 5-year term on that contract. After 5 years, it was up for a renewal, and we renewed it. Well, we're at the end of the second 5-year term, and we need to have the ordinance to find a new waste hauler, waste collection and hauler. So we did an RFP, and we advertised on the Natchitoches Times. We advertised on the city's web page. We directly reached out to, Waste Pro, Republic Services, North Louisiana Waste, and Southern Solid Waste. Of those, I'm trying to read my notes, of those, Waste Pro and Republic Service did not respond at all, no response. And North Louisiana Waste says that they aren't equipped to handle an account this large, and then Southern Solid Waste, without giving details, said that they are under a no-compete agreement at this time, so they couldn't submit anything. So we received one response, and that was from our current provider, which is Waste Connections.
So, and again, it's what I would call this wasn't just this was a proactive request. It wasn't just, let's see what we're gonna receive. Ed, as he said, he actually made the phone calls and connected with these other businesses, and they gave the responses that he just noted. So it wasn't, we were trying to be to do the best we could for the residents. All right, this is Bugs or you?
It's still me.
Okay.
Okay, and this is the results of the RFP. Our current agreement, we have 429 commercial customers, 6,892 residential customers. The current cost for a commercial customer to the city is $39.17. Residential is $22.54. The renewal for backdoor for a commercial, the quote is from Waste Connections, is $49.17, and residential $28.47. Now, backdoor is Waste Connections gets it from your back door, takes it to the street, the truck comes by, picks it up, and then they return your can back to your back door. The curbside quote, which is the resident takes the can to the street. The waste provider picks up the can, empties it, and then it's up to the resident to bring the can back to the back door. So the curbside cost as quoted was commercial was 4417, residential 2504. So we have options, curbside versus back door. Back door has been advantageous in the fact that you have elderly people that have a hard time or may not be able to bring a can to the street. You have people with disabilities that can't do it. And then the other side of that is some people will just leave the can by the street all the time. So that's, you know, there's more labor involved on the Waste Connections or Waste Provider side with the backdoor service than there is curbside. That's why curbside is cheaper than the backdoor service. So that's one decision that needs to be made. And then the quote in the RFP, as you can see, we need to talk about renewing this RFP, or the contract with Waste Connections, since they were the only provider, only quoter.
Okay, and what we tried to do by, kind of I can tell from my, from what I can tell, we try to look at how we can keep the price to as close as what it is now, and so we had Waste Connections, as Ed just said, well, how can we reduce that, the cost? And, you know, if we give up a service, backdoor door service, which, as Ed said, they come and get the can from the side of your house or whatever, the back door, and they roll it around to the front. As far as we know, nobody else in Louisiana does that. I mean, in the Waste Connections deal, I think it's just, they mentioned the city of Natchitoches and the city of Miami. All right, so we're mentioned with Miami in that. Everybody else, you know, even when we go visit in Texas to my in-laws, they have to remember to roll the can to the end of the street and roll it back after the garbage truck has come around. But as we say, as we think about the elderly, as we think about Natchitoches being a beautiful place, you know, maybe that's one of the ways we're able to keep it clean by having that service. But just wanted to lay that out there. Ed was pretty aggressive in trying to get this RFP to as many as he could, and then we look at some options whereby we could save. All right? Now, what we put in the deal, what we put in the ordinance, because based on the feedback, it seemed that, you know, the feedback from the town hall, the feedback from the committee, it seemed that it would be difficult to give up that backdoor service, you know, that some people would absolutely need to have it, as we're thinking about, you know, an elderly person, you're accustomed to it being this way, and that would be a drastic change. So I think you even covered Bug's part, right? Did you cover Bug's?
Maybe a little of it.
Okay. Come on to the microphone, Bug.
While Buzz coming to the microphone, remember I said I've had several people call me in reference. I know it's a small increase, but many handicapped people have called me in reference to their customer service of having the cans pulled to the front, and they want it. You know, it's a convenience for them. They're handicapped and they can't pull the cans out and bring them back in. I know a lot of people express this what they want to keep.
Yeah.
And there's been some questions.
Hey, Bugs, will you state your first and last?
James Billerman.
Okay. Yes, sir.
District Manager for Waste Connections. There's been some questions. I've had some people even call me and ask about the increases. What changes from the service you have now? Nothing changes. It's the same service you currently have. We still pick up the stuff at the curb. We still pick up the limbs when they bring it out to the road. We still go behind the house, pull the cans. We're getting new vehicles, smaller vehicles to help Mr. Barrett's, the weight issue on y'all streets.
Thank you.
But again, those trucks are very expensive nowadays. $438,000 a piece. So, but as far as the service, we still provide for the city, every one of the municipality buildings, public works, purchasing department, the baseball fields, anything that was in the RFP, it's all included in that price.
Now, a lot of these limbs, I've been told too, though, that are not being picked up.
Are
So
they
what's the-
big? The great big stuff, my machine won't pick up. That's the only ones that I know that hasn't. We have an issue, and Public Works helps us with that, because their machine will handle them when they cut down trees. Some of them I can't, the grapple's not big enough.
So what do they do?
Usually they call us, and if we go and see that we can't pick it up, we give Public Works a call, and he said he'll take care of it. But then he puts it in our container, and then I haul it off, and it doesn't cost y'all anything, it still costs me. So,
Well, I would note that from my town hall, Mr. Shields was here, and just to state, he said in communities where he lived, if you have a refrigerator, you have a dryer,
yeah.
You pay.
We pick up appliances.
without any additional cost to
There's
the,
no additional, that's all built in.
yeah. So, that was a point noted. It's good to hear that perspective from folks who've lived in other places to, we got some benefits in it, like
It has some
rolling the deal.
benefits. I've still seen some limbs around here, but I'll
Well,
just make a note
you
and
send
give
me
you a
a
call.
list of where
I
they at,
will,
we'll
I will
take care
do
of
that.
When sometimes it's a lot that isn't a customer, and they need to be put on the books to be able to have the woody waste picked up.
Yeah, I know if it's a vacant house, and I'm not gonna pick up there.
Yeah,
I'm
and
aware of that.
I commend them for cleaning it up, but it kind of falls back on Public Works, and then,
Look, we work very well with
Code
Public Works.
code
We pick up
enforcement.
stuff. I mean, I know that a vacant place they cleaned up, we try to do our part on that also.
Yeah, I think I do a pretty good job.
They
Well, I
do.
appreciate
Overall.
that, thank you.
do a real good job. The only other comment I'd make is that if we look at stopping backdoor, which I'm not in favor of, you're going to have some costs that are going to come up. We can either do nothing when the customer doesn't follow the protocol, or we can send somebody out, move the can and all that. All of that costs us money. So right now, we've got a very good program going. You guys do it very well.
Thank you.
Couldn't,
We have 7 guys, that's what they do every day.
yeah. And they've been there for a long time.
Yeah, probably the newest one's 2 years, but some of them I've had since they worked with wards before we got the
Yeah,
contract.
8, 9, 10 years.
12,
Yeah.
one of them 16 years.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, I know a lot of places I've gone, people wanting this type of service that we have. They want someone to come bring their.
Oh, absolutely, y'all have the Cadillac service.
So we have the
that's for sure.
Cadillac service.
When the benefit,
yes.
other benefit other than people who just physically can't do it themselves, is I've lived in places like in Baton Rouge where then people would not bring their trash can back, and then trash cans are just down the road.
Down the road.
And one gets hit
People
by a
hitting.
car.
School buses
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
they're out there for a minimal amount of time. You guys pull them back and streets clear and,
I would probably say y'all's cans are on the street no more than 5 hours.
yeah.
Oh, they not that long.
That's just
Yeah.
the basic, I'd say no more than 5 hours.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
Mayor-
And again, the only reason we were looking at giving up that service, which is a service I think it's very clear to me people want to keep, is to try to lower the cost.
Understand.
And that's what we talked about. Councilman PT, you have something?
Yeah, Mayor, I'm totally in agreement with keeping the backdoor service, but, looking at the numbers, it's like a $5.77 increase. And just take me for example, now I have less kids at home because my kids going off to college, so I'm generating less trash, and I'm seeing that increase. So I wish it was a better way to track the big users, like you mentioned, you guys picking up the appliances and washers and stuff like that. Well, and Mr. Shears brought this up in that previous meeting, okay, well, those who have those large appliances, because I understand at the end of the day, you guys are looking at tonnage, the weight, whenever you adjust your rates. I feel like that homeowner need to be responsible if they putting out, that much trash, and of course, it doesn't happen all the time. But I'm looking at it from the standpoint of why the people that are the ones that's using less have to get an increase.
And I understand your point, Councilman Steve, but I hope you understand our point. We look at how many residents it is and what's the tonnage as far as MSW, wood waste, everything. We build a performer to go through to come up with those prices. I mean, I get it. There's elderly people that only have a couple of bags in their trash cans every week, and then there's some that have 3 trash cans that's running over. I understand, and I respect your opinion on that, but I don't know how you could break it down to, this house pays this one pays this. We can't in the city. That would be something. That'd be a nightmare, I would think.
Yeah, be a lot of work. Now, I see you back there, Ms. Thompson.
$5.76.
This is just introduction. We don't typically have comment, but you've got a question? You got your comment yet?
And I'm not quite understanding, am I to understand that the customer pays $22.70 a month, and the city also pays $22.54 a month? So we have a total of $45.24 a month for residential costs to pick up the garbage?
I don't think that's the updated, is that the updated slide, Steve?
No, that's what's happening now.
Yeah, move to, that's what's happening now because inflation has caught up. Is that what it is?
Well, the reason that,
Oh, that is the one. Okay. No, that's the new one right there.
yeah,
I'm
the
sorry,
reason
Ed.
the number she mentioned a minute ago, where it looked like, they were flip-flop, that was that was because we just received a CPI Consumer Price Index. And so that's why the numbers on that one looks funny. But the renewal number for, and this is only what Waste Connections is charging the city. And the numbers are right up there. It's $28.47 residential, and then the $49.17 for back door. I'm sorry.
Okay, so I'm trying to
Ed,
understand.
I'm sorry. Let me try to help you clarify. Ed, she's asking on that slide before that one.
Current slide.
She's looking at it as a combined.
Go back one, Steve.
She's looking at it as a combined cost. Customer pays $22.70, city pays $22.54, but it's not combined.
No.
So
that-
it's not $45.24?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am. It's the customer pays the $22.70, and we pay, in turn, pay Waste Connections $22.54, so we make, what is that, 16 cents on the deal.
And that's for to replace your trash cans, things like that.
Well,
Because the trash cans that we're responsible for.
okay, the city.
We own the trash
The
cans.
trash cans, okay. Well, as far as all these different kinds of different structures, there's no reason I can't put my garbage can out. I'm healthy, I'm able to do that. And one person will not use as much garbage as another, and I have a garbage disposal, so I will have less. So something to consider for the future, you might just consider different size cans. The smaller cans have a different price structure. Seniors can have a different rate from others. So there are ways to do that so that it's more equitable for the different people, so that everybody is not paying the same thing, because everybody's not going to use that much service. So something to consider for the next time. Is this going to be another 10-year contract?
It's 5.
Yeah, it's 5 and then a renewal at 5, right, Ed? That's how we do it?
Yeah.
How we done it historically?
Yes, that's correct.
So it can get to 10
That's a long way
years.
away, so you might want to consider tabling this and
And how can you
doing something
distinguish
else.
elderly how can you do that, though?
Pardon?
Your suggestion, how can you do that, distinguish who's elderly, whose residence is elderly to
Well,
give them more,
You have a senior rate. I'm 65, I'm 77, But if I'm 65 or whatever your senior rate is, whatever your senior age is it 60 years old? If you go to Best Western at 55, you're a senior. So it just depends. And then if you're low income and you know, you can have different structures, so different people pay different things. And then if the city is supplying the cans, then the city can set the rates for the different cans, and there has to be applications for people to get different kinds of rates. My husband and I had a senior rate as soon as he got 65, and it was very nice not to pay the full rate. So, but,
So basically, you're asking for to give the seniors a discount.
yes.
So you do like a
And if the
survey or
seniors- and if the-
something, is
and-
what you're
well,
saying?
yes, and
to
if the
the-
seniors, if someone is not able to take their garbage cans out, I think that service can still be provided. But for people who can do it, I don't know why we should pay for people for you to pick up our garbage cans and take them to the curb and we can do it ourselves. It makes
Yeah.
no sense to
I
me.
think one reason, that's the way it's always been, right? The way we always had it.
Oh, yeah, it has.
Yeah.
Yes, but, I mean, it doesn't, the cost of living is high. And, it's nice to have things that are nice, but if we can't afford them,
Right.
then we need to just push back a little on some things. And I'm sorry, I wasn't at the meeting on the 7th. I don't know why I missed it. I must have slept or something. Took a nap and I didn't wake up.
Well, look, we appreciate your comment, and those things you mentioned, we could at least have some further conversation about it. All right, that's just for introduction today. We're moving on to 4 resolutions that are up for a vote. The first one is read by Councilwoman Washington Eli.
Resolution number 05 of 2023, a resolution authorizing the mayor to advertise and accept a bid for consistence of a AG ramp wash wreck airport improvement state projects. Number H 015663, whereas the sealed proposal shall be addressed to the City of Natchitoches Office of the Director Processing Box, P.O. Box 37, Natchitoches, Louisiana 71458, received at the City of Natchitoches Purchasing Department, 400 Sabine Street, Natchitoches, Louisiana. And whereas the city will accept sealed bid, electronic bids for the projects until 2 p.m. Tuesday, December the 19th, 2023, at the Office of the Director of Purchasing of 1400 Sabine Street. And whereas the bids would be public open and read aloud at 2 p.m. on Tuesday, December the 19th of 2023, held at the above-mentioned Office of the Director of Purchasing. And whereas upon receipt proposal, committee members consider Clarissa Brown Smith, Finance Director, Ed Lee, Director of Purchasing, Larry Cooper, Airport Manager, and City Council Eli, and review and make recommendation of the bids received. And now therefore be resolved by the City of Natchitoches in the legal session convened that the Honorable Ronnie Williams Jr. Mayor to be held honorable authorizing power directed to order the publication of above bid. And I move to adopt resolution 05 of 2023.
Second.
All right, motion is made and seconded to adopt this resolution. Ed, is there any other comment about what this project really is?
Yeah, this is what we call the ag ramp and the wash rack. That's where when we have crop dusters that aren't based at the airport, sometimes they come from different airports, say Walsh Timber or Weyerhaeuser. They want to fertilize timber, so they'll bring crop dusters in from another location, and they'll fertilize timber for 2 or 3 days, and they'll go back to where they came from. And when they do that, they travel with a couple 18-wheelers and maintenance trucks. It's a lot of equipment they travel with, and it's best to get them out to the side of our primary operations at the airport. And it's just a way to, get them safely off to the side, also without impacting our operations, as well as using it as a wash ramp to wash aircraft. Because of the DEQ and the EPA, you can't just wash an airplane because you have fuel or oil or things like that run off into the pavement and then into the grass or the storm collection system. And So washing an airplane is a problem with them. So this wash rack will have a water oil separator in it as well, and it'll collect the things that shouldn't go in the city's sewer line, which is a sanitary thing and helps a sewer plant. This is funded by a grant from the LADOTD. It's a estimate $330,000 grant. And another reason we're getting able to do this is because we have our other things, pavement issues such as runway, taxiway aprons. They're all in good shape now. We're caught up thanks to some other good grants that we've had at the airport to fund these. So now they're letting us do items that are a little bit lower priority, such as this. So this project is 100% funded, including the engineering, by the state of Louisiana DOTD Aviation Division.
Okay. I think the council always likes to hear that last part, Ed. Yep. But do appreciate your explanation of why this project is important and to prevent the contamination. Any other comment? Seeing none, Mr. Stacy, roll call vote.
Eli?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Harrington?
Yes.
PT?
Yes.
All right, that motion carries. Next item is a resolution number 106 of 2023. Councilman PT.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution number 106 of 2023, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute change order number 1 for the 2023-24 street rehab project, where the city of Natchitoches awarded the bid to Regional Construction, LLC, on September 25th, 2023, by ordinance number 056 of 2023, in the amount of $802,099.90 for the 2023-24 street rehab project. Whereas on October 27th of 2023, the city engineer, Nick Lorette, issued change order number 1, fully described in attachment A. Whereas the contract sum will be increased by this change order number 1 in the amount of $8,003.50, and the revised contract total will be $810,103.40. May I so move to adopt resolution 106?
Okay.
I second.
Motion made and seconded. Gonna ask Nick Ferret to come and kind of put some, just make it into layman's term as to why we need this.
All righty. Nick Verrett, city engineer. Basically, in the previous street rehab project, we encountered a right-of-way issue, and that caused the previous connection that existed from Sewanee Street onto Simmons Alley. It caused that to not be reconstructed as part of that project. Since then, thanks to the good work of Mr. Murchison, we've discovered a way that we feel that we can regain that right-of-way, or at least the right to have the street on that property. And so this change order would add to the street project that's ongoing now, that's been let, the reconnection, the work to reconnect that and make a paved reconnection of those streets. So at a cost of $8,003. All the work is covered by contract items that were bid, so it's just an extension of quantities at those bid unit prices.
Mm-hmm. Very, very small amount, but like Nick said, there was a matter that came up with an owner on Swanee. Is it Swanee?
Yeah, Swanee.
Mm-hmm.
Simmons Alley.
So this allows us, and great to have Tommy here with us tonight. He's quiet over there. But it allows us to open the street back up, and this is just a material to fix this part of the street that needs to be.
That's right.
That's great.
I mean, it proved to be quite not just more than an inconvenience. Really, it was a hardship to the community in denying the access there. So we're really glad that we have this opportunity to make that the connection of the street again.
Yeah,
I appreciate the work, Mr. Nick and Mr. Murchison. I know I communicated, a lot with you. That's actually in my district. It's kind of on the back of the square, but I thank y'all for y'all work in it.
Yes,
well,
Mayor,
Councilman,
yeah.
your persistence should be noted, and listen to your constituents, which is, really important. Sounds like there's that constant communication going on, so,
Right.
really good. All right, any other comment? Oh, yes, ma'am.
I just want to say quickly that we really appreciate y'all's assistance in getting this.
Just state your
matter
first and
resolved.
last name for me, please.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dorothy McGaskey.
Okay, yes, ma'am, go ahead.
I would just like to say that we, the citizens in that area, really appreciate our councilman, the mayor and city council, and everybody else involved, Mr. Barrett, for getting that issue resolved, because it was quite an inconvenience for the residents on that immediate street and the surrounding area. I've lived in the area for nearly 50 years. The street has always been open. So I don't want to get personal, but the person that owned that property, that, you know, in close proximity to it, undoubtedly didn't have the best interests of the residents and the people in the community. Just want to thank you all so much for assisting us with that matter.
Thanks a lot for coming, and we're happy we're able to get to this conclusion. All right, Mr. Stacy, roll call vote.
Eli?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Harrington?
Yes.
Petey?
Yes.
All right, that motion carries. Councilman Nielsen is responsible for Resolution 107 tonight.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution number 107 of 2023, whereas the City of Natchitoches approved Resolution number 57 of 2023 on June 12, 2023, for the maintenance agreement, including mowing and litter pickup with the State of Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development, Office of Engineering, beginning July 1, 2023 through June 30, 2024. Whereas further, additional state funds have become available for maintenance of DOTD right-of-ways statewide, and whereas further, DOTD proposes to make some of the funds available to the City of Natchitoches to offset, in part, additional maintenance cycle completed by the City of Natchitoches during fiscal year 2024, and whereas the City of Natchitoches desires to accept the offer to make supplemental funding available to the city and agrees to perform one additional maintenance cycle to remove litter and mow vegetation on certain state right-of-way within the jurisdiction of the city. And whereas further, the City of Natchitoches and the State of Louisiana DOTD agreed to Amendment Number 1 of the referenced agreement to increase the stipulated minimum number of maintenance cycles in fiscal year 2024 from 4 to 5, whereas the City Council of the City of Natchitoches, Louisiana has reviewed and approved the attached Amendment Number 1 and desires to authorize Mayor Ronnie Williams, Jr. to execute same, and now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Natchitoches that the Mayor of the City of Natchitoches, Ronnie Williams, Jr., is hereby authorized to execute the attached Amendment Number 1 to the maintenance agreement, including mowing and litter pickup within the State of Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development. And I move that we adopt Resolution number 107 of 2023.
A second.
Motion made and seconded, so through our mid-sized city conference group, if you will, kind of like a coalition of our size cities, we were advocating for, I think, an additional 4 cuts of litter pickup. I think this, Ms. Stacy says they're giving us 1, is it what it is?
An extra one?
1 extra one. So not exactly what we wanted, but better than where we were, so we'll just continue to push and lobby for more. Maybe we have to pull out the big guns, Nick Verrett and Donald Forrest, the next time to really lobby for us being former DOTD employees. But it does give us an extra cut, and we're gonna, this is what this is about. We'll take it. All right, any comment about this?
This was an issue at LMA.
Yep.
So,
Like I said, we pushed for 4, but this is where they were able to get us, so. All right, Mr. Stacy, roll call vote.
Eli,
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
Petey.
Yes.
All right, that motion carries. Last item on the agenda. I know y'all like hearing that. Councilman Harrington.
Resolution 108 of 2023 is a resolution to submit a funding commitment letter for inclusion with the BRIC grant application for installation of an emergency generator at the Sibley Lake Sewer Lift Station, committing the city of Natchitoches to contribute an estimated $15,194 and matching funds towards the project. I'll read it by title only because it's pretty self-explanatory. I move to adopt Resolution 108 of 2023.
I second.
All right, motion made and seconded. You see the numbers like Councilman Harrington said in here. The emergency generator on Sibley Lake is about $151,000. We're responsible for 10%. If we get awarded the grant, that comes out about to a little bit over $15,000. And that's just saying if we win, that we would budget for the $15,000. All right, and is there anything, Matt, or is it just pretty straight for you?
Just replacing a generator that's, I think it was put in '95, so it's almost 30 years old, well past its lifespan, and parts are becoming difficult to find for it, so we need to replace it.
Well, we hope we're successful. We do have that hazard mitigation plan now. I think that came through council, so that should help us in terms of getting the funds this year, we hope. Any other comment about this resolution? All right, seeing none, Mrs. Stacy, roll call vote.
Eli.
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
Petey.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. We've got some announcements. Our next one is on the next council meeting is on the 27th. The offices of the city will be closed on Thursday, the 23rd, and Friday, November 24th for the Thanksgiving holiday. Download the Go Natchitoches app. There's a lot of great things going on around town, particularly associated with the Christmas season. Obviously, we do it better than anybody else. Regroup for emergency and other notifications dealing with street closures and things like that. So make sure you download Regroup. On tomorrow, you saw Ellen here earlier. We're going to be, she's got a couple events going on at the university and LSMSA, but at First Baptist on Amulet. So we are encouraging people to get there. So Councilman Petey, if you can give an extra push. I know there's y'all have a group that you're on to get people there to she's gonna just give an update on what the plan is. So I think we're moving along quite well with that and able to meet our goals and hopefully apply for some big funding next year, early next year. The Christmas festival is almost here. Tickets are now on sale, November 18th through the 6th. So this Saturday is Turn on the Holiday Spirit, Turn on the Lights ceremony, I should say. So that's a pretty big deal. Certainly want people to be down there, and people will come. So we're looking forward to this Christmas season. Light the Way, this is coming up on Sunday. It's a 5K run, is it? Yeah, 5K and fun run. It's a costume contest, so I think it's a pretty cool run. I mean, it's different than most that we have. It's at night. Normally, I don't know if Steve and Stacy, do y'all enter this race for us?
I think that's the one in honor of Jack Britton Jr., is it? Is that the one?
Well, I don't know if they're
think
going
it
to
is.
honor
Yes.
Britt.
I think it's from
Okay.
5 to 7. That's the one for honoring Jack.
What's that?
Yes, they renamed the race.
Oh, they renamed it for him. Okay, cool deal. All right, he was always promoting packages. I saw Laura posted something the other day about him. All right, but that's coming up on Sunday. The Florida League Christmas Craft, this is a big event in our city held at the Natchitoches Event Center, bring in a lot of people, and this is taking place not this Saturday, but next Saturday. And like I said, it's always a great event, free admission. Obviously, you have different merchants who are going to be there selling their product, and you get them come from different parts of the state. All right, American Forest and Weyerhaeuser Tree Equity Planning. So they're having an exciting event on Tuesday the 28th. Remember Dr. Street, who came before us, going to be doing some planning in selected places at the Ben Johnson Park. And so again, that's on the 28th of November, so looking forward to that event. That's it? Oh, okay. So happy Thanksgiving from the city of Natchitoches. I do want to say the Demons have a game tonight. We're currently losing, but you can still get to the second half, and hopefully that'll help us just a little bit. All right, at this time, we've had a long meeting tonight. We will hear a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion that we adjourn.
Second?
Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.